what that video has to do with what I'm going to be talking about. I'm just going to create some space for me. But that meditation, it was all about acceptance. It was all about being here and now. And that's what the gift of acceptance gives us. It allows us to be here now, without a past, without a future, without caving to the circumstances that we find ourselves in. Because it is very easy for us in society right now, with everything happening at this rapid pace. Everybody is in a rush to get to the office in the morning. Everybody is in a rush to get through their day, to get those phone calls done, to handle those emails, that we don't take the time to just be anymore. We are human doings. And we rush to get home. We rush to eat our meal so that we can move to the next event, get the kids here, go there, do this, do that. That sometimes we even simply forget to breathe. And we wind up with our shoulders like this. And we wind up highly stressed. And we wonder why life is against us. And part of it is because we have two options that lie before us in everything. We can accept, or we can resist. With resistance comes struggle, comes efforting. We have to put so much into the next moment. And acceptance, it doesn't mean surrender. It doesn't mean that you are agreeing to what is unfolding. It just means I'm going to accept this. And that gives me power to make the next decision, to take a breath and move into the next moment. I'm going to give you an example of this. It happened just yesterday. I was doing a wedding. Actually, it happened Friday night. Friday night was the precursor. The rehearsal was supposed to happen at 6. It wound up happening at 9. I got there, and there was no wedding party. The room was quite lovely. So I waited. And a gentleman and his daughter was there because his daughter was in it. And I said, so you know this person. And I used her Canadian name. It was a Filipino wedding. He's looking at me like, ooh. So I'm thinking, am I in the right place? Did I get, oh my God. Breathe. And then I said, I'm going to go check out the room. And then I saw a poster with their picture, so I knew I was in the right place. But her Filipino name is quite different from her English name. And then finally, everybody showed up. Well, the bride, the groom, and the godparents showed up. And 2 of the bridesmaids showed up. None of the groomsmen showed up. The maid of honor didn't show up. And he said, husband said, well, just explain it to me and I'll tell them all. I went, okay. So that's part of the acceptance, right? I mean, I could have gotten ripped out of shape and like walk away and say, you guys fend for yourself. This is craziness. But I didn't. I just stopped. I just said, this is what it is in this moment. How do we make this the best moment that we can? So we wound up going through the service. substituting godparents for missing groomsmen and bridesmaids and walking everybody in. And it's interesting because it's now 10:30 at night, and the godparents are rather traditional. This wedding was rather modern. The godparents said, well, why aren't you doing these Filipino traditions? And the bride said, well, pointing to me. And I'm like, we can slip them in, not a problem. So after that, I went home and I researched Filipino wedding traditions. I plopped them into the wedding. And I was sitting there going back to the dress rehearsal, and was chatting with the bride, and I said, so do you have a room that the wedding party can congregate in so that, you know, the general population doesn't see the wedding party before the wedding? And they said, oh no, we have a room after. And I'm like, well, we'll have to try to arrange that. So I arranged that. And I said, so what time are you coming? And she says, oh, I'll be here, all dressed, I'll be here at noon. And on my paperwork it says the wedding starts at 2. And I'm like, you're going to sit in your wedding dress for 2 hours? And she says, no, the wedding starts at 1. I said, no, the wedding starts at 2. And she said, no, 1 o'clock. And one godparent pulls out the invitation. Sure enough, big bold letters, went out to everybody, 1 o'clock. Okay, that works. We'll make it work. So I'm there, 12:45, no wedding party. Okay, acceptance once again. Then the wedding party finally arrives at 5:01. And they have forgotten the candles, the veil, the cord. There's a cord, an infinity cord that wraps around the bride and the groom and brings them together, unites them. And godparents are unhappy. Bride is flustered. Groom's like, I'm just like, everybody breathes. This is your day. These people are here for you. It's okay. Send someone home and go get it. So they did. The wedding started at 2. And I told the groom, I said, obviously you knew. So you knew something. It started at 2. It was beautiful. Went off without a hitch. But that's the part, that's the joy of when we just stop and accept. And because I accepted, it allowed them to accept. So there wasn't the panic, there wasn't the upset, there wasn't the anger, the frustration, the fear. It could just be a good day. So that's kind of the gift that acceptance gives us. I'm going to share this little excerpt with you that it came in the email. And I really think that it truly depicts our choices in how we choose to be here. Because acceptance, I have to do that. You can't do it for me. I have to use that tool. I have to employ it. So, excerpts from a dog's diary. 8 a.m. Dog food. Woohoo! My favorite thing. 9:30. Car ride. My favorite thing. 9:40. A walk in the park. My favorite thing. 10:30. Who got rubbed and petted. My favorite thing. 12 o'clock. Lunch. My favorite thing. 1 o'clock. Played in the yard. My favorite thing. 3 o'clock. Wag my tail. My favorite thing. 5 o'clock. My favorite thing. 6 o'clock. Ooh, bath. Bummer. 7 o'clock. Gotta play with the ball. My favorite thing. 8 o'clock. Wow. Watch TV with the people. My favorite thing. 11 o'clock. Sleeping on the bed. Oh, my favorite thing. Excerpts from a cat's diary. Day 983 of my captivity. My captors continue to taunt me with bizarre little dangling objects. They dine lavishly on fresh meat, while the other inmates and I are fed hash or some sort of dried nuggets. Although I make my contempt for these rations perfectly clear, I nonetheless must eat something in order to keep up my strength. The only thing that keeps me going is my dream of escape. In an attempt to discuss them, I once again vomit on the carpet. Today I decapitated a mouse and dropped its headless body at their feet. I hoped that this would strike fear in their hearts, since it clearly demonstrates what I'm capable of. However, they merely made condescending comments about what a good little hunter I am. Bastards. There was some sort of assembly of their accomplices tonight. I was placed in solitary confinement for the duration of the event. However, I could hear noises and smell the food. I overheard that my confinement was due to the power of allergies. I must learn what this means and how to use it to my advantage. Today, I was almost successful in attempting to assassinate one of my tormentors by weaving around his feet while he was walking. I must try this again tomorrow, but mayhaps at the top of the stairs. I am convinced that the other prisoners are flunkies and snitches. The dog receives special privileges. He is regularly released and seems to be more than willing to return. He's obviously retarded. The bird has got to be an informant. I observe him communicating with the guards regularly. I'm certain he reports my every move. My captors have arranged protective custody for him in an elevated cell, so he is safe for now. So that just gives us a little look into acceptance and resistance. And acceptance in human psychology is a person's assent to the reality of a situation. That's little r reality, by the way, people, not the capital R reality that we deal with here. Just the little r reality. Recognizing that a process or a condition, be it negative or uncomfortable or positive and filled with joy, without attempting to change it or to protest it. The concept is close in meaning to acquiescence, which is derived from a Latin word, and it means to find rest in. It allows us to just stop. And like that tea ceremony, just to be in the moment. When I was looking up acceptance, I was watching a TED Talk, and this woman, she is a mother of a daughter of a 2-year-old, and the whole talk was around finding acceptance with this 2-year-old that was pretty much driving her insane, saying no, no, no. Any one of you who've raised children, and I know most of you have, you know the terrible twos. And she came across this term. So I looked into it a bit more. It's called unconditional positive regard. And she was going to try that with her child. And it's a concept that was developed by humanistic psychologist Carl Rogers. And it is the basic acceptance and support of a person regardless of what that person says or does. Its founder wrote this: the central hypothesis of this approach can be briefly stated. It is the individual has within him or herself vast resources of self-understanding for altering her or his self-concept, attitudes, and self-directed behavior. And that these resources can be tapped if only by a definable climate of facilitative attitudes be provided. And that's pretty much what we tell you here. Change your thinking, you change your life. These tools give us access, internal access to those gifts that Spirit has given us. So I have a video that I want to show you that when I typed in unconditional positive regard in YouTube, this video came up. And what's interesting, as David was looking at it, he said, this is the same video that Carmine showed last week. And he did it under the title, he found it under the title, Unsung Heroes. So it's quite interesting that it was found 2 different places, same video. And I think that it just gives you a moment to pause and to reflect and to look at his level of acceptance as just being where it is. Okay.